Hello.
Hey, Dad.
Yeah.
You're on the podcast.
Wow.
Hi.
There it is.
Wow. There you have it.
You know how effective I am? I just pick up the phone and there are 5 people talking.
Actually, there are going to be like 7 or 8 people. Although our son Andy doesn't talk much. But this is Tom Barnard.
He's busy.
Nice
Hey,
talking.
Tom. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Nice talking to you again.
You too.
I was floored that you remembered me.
I do. Well, I spent quite a bit of time up there in Minneapolis.
Yes, we were just
many years
talking.
ago.
Which is a good thing.
Yes, with on WCCO.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And with my friend Nancy Nelson and Bill Carlson.
Bill Carlson, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, he's a very good friend of mine. And
he's a good guy.
Yeah.
Very laid-back guy. He's one of the most laid-back people I ever met in my entire life.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, super.
There's no question about it. Dr. Wayne Dyer, we're talking to Dr. Dyer. We were just talking about your audio collection on audible.com. It's the 5-hour audio collection that you have.
Do you know which one that is, Dad?
No.
Even he doesn't follow his own career. They were just giving me grief for not following your career.
I don't keep track of things like that. There's a lot of them out there. Probably 200 or 300 different sets of things. I just got another one in the mail yesterday called Wayne Dyer Unplugged. So now I'm unplugged. I thought I was plugged. Unplugged.
Now that you've got an iPad, you thought you were plugged in, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
You have
I do. That was a big move, too.
The good thing for authors is when you go to the mail, there are always good things in the mail, not just bills.
Yes.
He just goes, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is a good thing. Well, I will step out of the way because I'm sure your daughter wants to say several things to you, and then we'll start grilling you. It'll be just
all right.
Family chat.
I just want to not kind of apologize for my poor father who's in Maui, poor guy.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's and it is only 7:00 in the morning there, and he did just come back from Greece, so he's on a 12-hour time swing, and he's only been back for 48 hours, so he's a little tired.
Well, that means to him it's 7 p.m. prime time.
Right, exactly. That's what he said. He's like 7 a.m., 7 p.m.
7 o'clock at night. This is the time I'm normally getting ready to go to bed, and I'm getting up.
Well, I want to thank you on a global basis for giving the Greeks some money, because they really need it right now.
Well, I love Greece. I've been there many times. I ran the Greek Marathon there in 1982.
All right.
42 years old.
Enough showing off, pal. Wait a minute. In 1982, you were...
I remember my time, unlike some people who are out there running for vice president.
Yeah, I don't even know which one that is, actually. I'll tell you the truth. Oh, yeah, that's right, Paul Ryan.
Yes.
Well, yeah, he just missed his time. It was only by about an hour and 20 minutes, so,
Cramped up.
This guy, this TV reporter in Flint, Michigan, was trying to connect gun control with higher taxes or lower taxes or something. He's like, what are you talking about? And he just got up and left. He stood up and said, time's up, got to go, see you later. But it's a confusing time for us because we tend to be pretty much centrist as far as well, Sean's not, he's a communist.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
But
Sean and I have that in common.
We don't want to get real political here, but it fascinates people in the middle that the people are far left or far right, and then you kind of gradually get toward the middle, but there are not very many people once you get to the middle. There are not a whole lot of people there. People are just, it's poor Stacey Dash we were just talking about with Kristen Burt, our entertainment reporter. This beautiful young black woman supported Mitt Romney, and Hollywood people said, you're not black enough, and you should kill yourself.
Oh.
It's like, I know if you want to support the president.
That's a little harsh.
A wee bit.
That's the first time I've ever heard Dr. Wayne Dyer say, that's a little harsh. So things are still as peaceful in your life as they've always been. Well, not always, but since you figured out your path.
Am I hearing the surf?
Yeah, based on the tropical breeze,
is that
I'm hearing
the surf we're hearing in the background?
Yes.
Dad, are you out on the lanai?
No. But you know what? I'm going to go to the landline in here because I think the reception will be a little bit better. Hold on.
You are on a landline.
there.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we thought we were hearing the surf there.
Yeah.
It was kind of calming. It was
I
nice.
know.
Yeah.
I was getting into
actually
it.
out on the lanai with a portable phone, but I've just come back in here where I do my radio show.
So you were hearing the surf.
Tell us about the radio show.
I have a radio show on Hay House Radio. I've had it for about 7 years. It's every Monday, and I just take calls and talk to people. It's actually, I really resisted one more thing that they wanted me to do, but now it's my favorite hour of the week. I talk to people in Asia and in Italy and in South Africa and people all over the world, just calling up to just talk, and it's a fun format.
Well, it's really an honor that you would do this podcast, as a matter of fact, because, well, as you know, I've over the past 27 years being at KQRS, that I've interviewed you probably about 20 times. We used to do the big radio tours. You just loved those, I remember.
It's changed so much. My goodness, it's a different world altogether. I was, in fact, Tracy and I were talking about this last night. This whole business about unemployment numbers and so on, and we were talking about unemployment numbers are bound to go up, continue to go up until people realize that the world isn't the way it was anymore. That so many people. I just read an article in the Wall Street Journal on my way home from Rome yesterday, and. It was about a guy who started his own business, and he's doing the entire thing over the internet. And he's in charge of every single aspect of it. He said he would love to hire other people, but he simply can't afford to do it.
Yeah.
So he can do it the entire thing himself. And until people get that, that's sort of the way it's going to be. And that's the same with, we were talking about a book tour. Every time I would write a book, I would do a tour across the country for the hardcover, and then a year later, I would go across the country and do the softcover. And that was when I started coming to Minneapolis. I used to do Twin Cities Today and Boone and Erickson, and and all the different. Pat Miles became a good friend of mine there in Minneapolis, and. You just go into these various cities, and I would have all of these friends. Now there's no such thing.
No, nobody does it any longer. It's it's really interesting. And one question I wanted to ask you that came to mind: musicians these days. I was talking to a friend of mine who's a drummer in a very successful rock and roll band, and I said, because of file sharing, how much money do you make now when you release a new CD? And he said, none. I said, what do you mean, none? He said, well, because of file sharing, the first 3 years we were out, we sold 20 million albums. And since then, we still have sold just 20 million albums because no one buys music any longer. I said, well, then why do you release a CD? And he said, because it supports a tour. It used to be the tour would support the CD, and now the CD supports the tour.
Yes.
It's amazing. Now, how about, audiobooks being... Well, I mean, people have always shared books, hardcover, paperback, or whatever. They pass along to a friend. But is it more prevalent now that there are audiobooks?
I think so. My latest book, Wishes Fulfilled, when I got a report on the sales on it, because... it was a PBS special and all of that, and they said that more than 50% of the sales are e-books.
Yeah, well, there you go.
That's
more than 50%. So that's kind of scary. I mean, not for you because you had a long.
It isn't that it's scary. It's just an adjustment. It's just like newspapers. It's like I still can't read a newspaper on a screen. It just doesn't feel like I'm reading a newspaper.
Sure.
So for me, it's like Tracy always loves to say, she likes to watch people like me, my age, go into the airport, and she just stands there for amusement and watches us try to get ourselves registered onto the plane, and sticking my driver's license in, and I get it in backwards, and I don't know, what it means to I got to continue, and what are the cities that you're going to. It's
kind of funny. He doesn't want to put his credit card in because he's afraid he's going to get charged.
No, I'm afraid it's not going to come back. That's what happens when I give it to you.
Well, that's a totally different thing. But but he doesn't want to put his credit card in to identify himself.
I understand.
Because he's afraid he's going to get charged. I'm like, just put your credit card in.
Well, with the RSS now, you have to be very careful because people for $100 can steal your information because of that little RSS patch on your credit card.
Oh, right.
I know they're saying you should punch a hole in it,
or wrap it in tinfoil.
That's easy.
Yes.
So, Dr. Dyer, how many books now
How many have I written? I've just finished my 41st book.
41st book.
41.
A lot to say.
And he's only 35 years old. So what is that?
That's right.
He goes, that's right.
Actually, I actually feel that way. I really do. You say that, but I don't think of myself as I'm 72 years. My body is 72 years old, but I just don't think like that at all. I'm still doing things that I was doing in my 20s and doing them a little bit better. And I don't identify myself on the basis of the age of this thing that I'm carrying around.
Well, I would say this, that anybody speaking to you on the telephone would never know you were 72. You sound like you're about 35 years old.
Yeah, I feel that way. Honestly, I do. And I said it, and Tracy will tell you that I've been saying it as long as I've been alive, as long as I remember, that I'm never going to let an old person move into this body. It's not going to happen.
You got to stop telling people how old I am then. That kind of gives you away.
41 books. The first one, looking back now, where was your big break? As far as now everyone, because everybody knows who Dr. Wayne Dyer is. Everybody in the world knows you. Well, your first big break?
Honestly, I don't even think I ever had a break. It's just I just was persistently doing what I do continuously. Tracy was with me when she was 9 years old. When we traveled across the country, when I just loaded up my car and decided that I was going to take this project on myself, and the book was called Your Erroneous Zones. It wasn't my first book. That was it was actually my fourth book. I'd written 3 textbooks before that, but it was the first book for the public. And I suppose the break, I guess there was a break. There was a friend. His name is Howard Papish. And he worked on The Tonight Show, and he was a talent coordinator on The Tonight Show. And he was at a gathering out in the Hamptons, and he was handed 2 books because in those days there was an author segment on The Tonight Show when Johnny Carson had The Tonight Show.
Right.
And the show was 90 minutes long. So the last 15 minutes of the show, it was generally called the author spot, or the non-celebrity spot. And Howard was handed these 2 books, and he picked up Your Erroneous Zones, and I read it on an airplane and got back out to Los Angeles. I was back in Michigan, and he called me and asked if when I was in L.A. when we were doing this cross country tour, when I was in L.A. if I would stop in and do a pre-interview, and I went in and I did a pre-interview for The Tonight Show. And then I flew back to Michigan, and then he called me about a week later, and he said, "We're going to put you. Would you be willing to fly out here and do The Tonight Show? Johnny won't be on, but it'll be Shecky Green."
Shecky Green?
Shecky Green was the host.
Honest to God.
It was on a Monday night. I'll tell you the date of it. It was, I think it was the 27th of August. It was 1976.
76.
And so I went out there and I did the show, and it was fantastic. I had like 2 segments with Shecky. It was funny. It was interesting. It was exciting. My first time ever to be on national television. Because I did this tour because I couldn't get on the Today Show and the Tonight Show and the Phil Donahue Show and Merv Griffin and Mike Douglas and all of these because I was unknown. So I figured the other way to make yourself known is to just go out and talk to everyone in the country, which is exactly what we did. And Tracy was there with me as a young 9-year-old, my daughter. So I flew out and I did the Tonight Show with Shecky Green. It was a Monday night, say the 27th of August, 1976. I get over to LAX and I get a call from Howard, and he said, "Wayne," he said, "I'm sorry to tell you this, but this is the first time in the history of the Tonight Show that the show has been preempted."
Oh my God!
No. Yeah, and so I had phoned everybody I know to tell them I was going to be on the Tonight Show because they tape it around 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right.
So I was kind of dejected, and I flew back. And the reason I was that the show was preempted because it was the Republican National Convention. And it was in Kansas City, Missouri, and Bob Dole was the keynote speaker.
Oh yeah.
And his speech went over, and they didn't want to go away from it. They carried the whole thing, so it preempted the Tonight Show.
And Tracy's been pissed off ever since.
No.
No, this is interesting because I got back to Michigan. Now the next day, they had a meeting with Freddie DeCordova and Howard Papish and all the Tonight Show cast, and they were talking about the guy who was on the night before, but the show didn't air. And everyone in there was talking about it. It was funny, it was interesting, it was exciting. This is a new guy. And Johnny Carson said, well, if he was that good, he said, why don't we fly him back out here? And I'd like to, before that preempted show airs again in the future, he said, I would like to have him on the show with me. So they called me up in Michigan and said, would you be willing to fly back? So I turned around, I flew all the way back, did the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson on Wednesday night. And but we only had I got on about 5 minutes to 1, and so we only had 4 or 5 minutes. And Johnny said, "I'm really sorry." He said, "We ran over tonight." He said, "Could you stay over and do the show with me again on Friday night?" So I said, "Sure, I'd be happy to." So I stayed over. I did the show on Friday. We had about 15 minutes at the end of the show, and then they replayed the preempted show from the previous week on Monday. So without having any national television exposure of any kind and traveling across the country, just talking about my book and creating my own tour, if you will, I had 3 Tonight Show appearances in 5 days. I was on Wednesday, on Friday, and on Monday. And then I went on to do the show 37 times over the next 3 or 4 years. And,
Wait, I think they might be interested in my perspective on this story, Dad. You maybe don't really remember the stories that you told on the Tonight Show, but you told a lovely training bra story. About
Those are always good.
Yeah, about how I had just gotten a training bra. That was extra special. And then, so when I went to school the next day and the teacher said, I saw your dad on the Tonight Show last night. You got a training bra? Oh, wow, really?
Mortified.
I just don't know how you could train a bra. I just couldn't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
Not
extra
easy.
special. I really liked
But your cousin, my nephew, John, it was even worse.
It was worse.
I was on there telling a story about him, and I said that I asked him. John was 10 years old at the time. I said, John, what would you like for your birthday? He said, I know what I want. He said, I want a tampon.
A tampon?
A tampon? What in the world were you going to do with it? Why would you want a tampon? That's insane. You don't want tampons. He said, no. He said, when you have a tampon, you can go horseback riding. When you have a tampon, you can go swimming. When you have a tampon, you can do anything.
Those old commercials.
Oh, yeah, I actually remember that.
Yeah, Alex, look at Alex. She's so confused.
What is going
those
on?
were the commercials at the time promoting the use of tampons.
Yeah, when they were first on the market.
And you know what?
They were.
And you know what, Dr. Dyer? A comedian stole your bit and used it for several years. I'll never forget that.
That happened a lot.
Yeah, it was stolen from you many times, and then one guy in particular. And by the way, just very quickly, now his behavior was inexcusable, but have you ever heard the funniest thing that Shecky Green ever said?
No, I love Shecky Green.
Shecky Green was, again, the behavior is inexcusable. He was driving down the Strip in Las Vegas, had a few cocktails, too many, ran into the fountain at Caesar's Palace. So his entire car is in the fountain.
We've all been there.
It's a true story. And he told the story actually to Johnny Carson a couple weeks later. He said he's sitting in there and he's really drunk, and a cop comes over and taps on his window with a billy club. And Shecky thought, well, what am I going to do? I mean, my God, I'm guilty. I'm caught. I'm screwed. So he said, I rolled the window down, looked at the cop and said, no hot wax.
Oh, my God.
No, that's pretty clever.
Quick thinking, even when inebriated. I like it.
Well, he was a funny guy, and
He was.
That was like I say, that was a break. And I've always I've used this quote from Henry David Thoreau forever. He was just one of the great heroes in my life. I've been to his place in Concord, Massachusetts, actually laid on his bed and meditated there in Concord, and even did a PBS show. And he had a definition of success that I used to always use, and I used to tell this story that I just told you of going out there and just doing what you believe in. He said, if you advance confidently in the direction of your own dreams and endeavor to live the life which you have imagined, you will meet with a success unexpected in common hours. And I've always loved that because it's like you let success chase after you. You just get out there and follow your dreams and do what really seems to make sense to you. And that's what I was doing in 1976 when we went on that cross-country tour and delivered my own books and took all responsibility for all aspects of it into my own hands, and had the time of our life. We had a great time. It was a wonderful trip. It's a trip, we certainly would never forget. And it was,
one of the details that he hasn't told you is he bought up the first couple printings of his book.
That's a good
idea. You
Yeah,
have to.
he bought up the first couple printings, and we loaded them in the car, and he went and he scheduled himself on all these shows across the country and sold the books.
And that idea was stolen from you as well.
Yeah.
By a couple of authors I could name that they're from Minnesota. One's name is Garrison something.
Whatever works.
I don't own that idea. I think you know what? When I saw the movie Coal Miner's Daughter, the story of Loretta Lynn, and
don't sing, Dad. Don't sing.
She's such a daughter.
I can't stop loving you.
Don't and don't do Morse code either.
No Morse code.
But anyways, that movie just reminded me of what I was doing back there, and it was about the same time. That she just went from radio station to radio station, took her little recording of it, and that's what you do. It's not any idea that I own. I don't feel that anybody ever steals anything from me because I don't own any of it. And I'm happy to share it anywhere. I don't have any attachment to any of the things I've done. My books, if people want to copy them, if they want to sell them in China and not pay me royalties, I have no problem with it at all.
From Bradshaw and Bryant, Michael Bryant. What's up, Pally?
Oh, not much. Doing my usual thing of telling people they shouldn't be texting and driving. In Minnesota, you can't have your phone in your hands. You can use, hands-free, but you can't have your phone in your hands for whatever reason. And that's why they made the law the way they did, so that police officers could see a phone in your hand and you got no excuse for why you got it there.
Do people know that that's the law?
I hope so. I mean, they used to follow it, and then kind of COVID kind of made people forget, and now it's like a freewheeling world out there with cell phones.
Let's say you get pulled over because you do have a phone in your hand and you're not watching where you're going. You got to be in pretty big trouble then, I would guess.
Well, the first one's not as bad. It's the multiple ones, the problem. And once people start stacking them up, then they have a big problem. And then what we're doing in car accidents is we've started bringing motions for punitive damages, because I'm trying to use the civil law any way we can to stop this, because it needs to stop.
Whenever I'd had any problems in my life, who was that I called again? It was like an MB, something like that.
Bradshaw and Bryant.
Why should your business bank with North American Banking Company? Here's Pete Wolf, owner of Robinson Rubber of Robbinsdale.
I partnered with North American Banking Company because I was able to talk to the president, and I know they have my back. They are much easier to talk to than those larger banks. The openness and flexibility has been the best part of banking with North American Banking Company. They understand small to medium businesses. No matter what part of the bank I am working with, North American Banking Company has the latest technology and friendly staff. I would absolutely recommend North American Banking Company to any of my closest colleagues if they want to have peace of mind in their business.
So why not bank where I bank, with my friends at North American Banking Company? To learn more about North American Banking Company, go to nabankco.com. That's nabankco.com, or do what I do and stop by any one of their 6 Twin Cities locations. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
So, Dr. Dyer, what do you think about Tracy's success? Now, this is Sean, and Tracy and I have been friends for about 16 years, so I'm very biased. I think
since they were both 9 years old.
They were both 9. But I think she has a book in her. We went out to lunch about a month ago, and she told the story about, and I of course I knew a lot of the story about her starting Urban Junket.
I thought you meant she had pica.
She's got pica. But it's been
pica.
No pica.
No pica.
But it's been a remarkable American business story during the Great Recession as to how you've evolved and I think used some of your dad's teachings along the way. It's been a great story. So what are your thoughts about that, Dr. Dyer?
I take total credit for it.
That's right.
Might as well.
I love that.
He takes credit for nothing else. He owns nothing else, however.
At the beginning, when it wasn't working, it was all her fault. But
right. Now that it's going well.
Once it got clicked in and started doing well, I just took total responsibility. Now, It was like, believe me, we had many, many, many long conversations about her making the courageous decision to leave behind the safety and security of a well-paid job that paid all of her benefits, and she could have stayed there for the rest of her life. And we used to talk long periods of time, especially long-distance calls, over whether or not she could really follow her. I call it following your excitement. The thing that whatever it is inside of you that excites you is really who you are. That's really that you take the word enthusiasm and you break it down, and it comes out. It means from Greek the God within. Entheos is God, yasm within, the God within. So that inner calling that says this is what you have to do, this is what you're here for, this is what excites you, and that's really who you are. You're obviously not this body that you're in, because I've been in so many different bodies just since I showed up here 72 years ago, and they just keep changing. So it's all illusion. Everything that's changing is an illusion. You think you got a hold of something and it's gone. So who you are is this invisibleness. It's your soul. And your soul is infinite. And anything that's infinite, it means it doesn't stop any place. So that internal place within you is something that just keeps wanting to grow and grow and expand, and it needs space. There's a theme song for it. It's called "Don't Fence Me In."
Right.
Give me land.
Whenever you tell them not to sing, they always do it.
I know. Did you see my eyes? Oh my God!
The same thing. I knew. Seen your daughter's face.
Every wedding we ever go to, I'm like, do not sing. Every time.
Dr. Dyer, I have to re-reference. Well, actually, just continue the conversation from where you just left it off. You've been the first person to ever answer a question I've had from many, many people, and that is, I've kind of envisioned what I want to do starting when I was 15 years old. When I was 15, I decided I wanted to be in radio because I only worked 3 hours a day. So, but I was always good at BSing. I grew up, in an urban neighborhood where if you could tell jokes, it was a good thing because they wouldn't kill you.
Right.
It's one of those deals. But nobody's ever been able to answer, and you just answered for me what it is. I dreamed of becoming a successful radio person and was told, no, you sound way too urban. You'll never make it on the radio.
Right.
Ended up with the most successful morning show in America. I wanted to do voiceover, and I was told, no, because I grew up in an urban environment, no, you sound too black. This is 1977 now, but a year after you were talking about. They said, you sound way too urban. You sound too black. You'll never make it. But I had envisioned me being a voiceover person. We opened a couple of restaurants. Our restaurant, one of our restaurants last year, won the best new Italian restaurant in America. And I've never been able to, why, you answered it for me today. I've never understood why I was successful at all these different things when everybody told me you're never going to make it. It's not going to happen. And it's not just, you wanted to show everybody that they were wrong. That wasn't it for me.
No, it never is.
No, it wasn't.
Those become that's the ego talking. It's about the ego's always saying, "I have to win, I have to prove things," and so on. Right. There's just something inside called your bliss or your excitement. It's that indefinable thing that when it comes up, when you have that attitude and you have that idea, it just it's like I started on June the 27th. I started writing a book. It's called I Can See Clearly Now. It won't even be out for another year or two. And it was like there was just something in there that said you just sit down, you start writing today. And I started on the 27th of June, and I wrote until the 4th of September when I left for this long speaking tour and cruise over in the Mediterranean. And I wrote every single day. My kids were here. Some of them were here, and they would always say, "Come on, Dad, let's go do this and go do that." I said, "You just don't understand. This is something that I have to do every single day." And I wrote every day until it was. And this is. You know who Arthur Miller is, the great American playwright?
Got a story about him, too.
I was being interviewed by the New York Times, and he was also being interviewed. This was 4 or 5 years ago. He was 91 years old. And they asked him this question. This is a man who did Death of a Salesman and The Crucible and, all these plays that we had to read when we were in high school. And he was married to Marilyn Monroe on top of that.
Yes.
Wow.
So they asked him the question, are you working on another play? And I'd never forget his response. He said, "I don't know." He said, "But I probably am."
Yeah. You know the old Pillsbury Mansion out here in Lake Minnetonka, Dr. Dyer? Remember the huge Pillsbury Mansion owned by, I won't even mention his name. It's not necessary to mention his name.
The Pillsbury Doughboy?
He purchased that very famous photo of Marilyn Monroe. Not the photo, excuse me, the painting of Marilyn Monroe. It's a very famous painting. Cost him a fortune. And he hung it in the Pillsbury Mansion, which he was living in. I think he still lives there, actually. I'm pretty sure. But Arthur Miller wanted to see that painting late in his life. And so he called my friend and said, I would love to see the painting. He said, well, why don't you just come and stay with me and we'll have a weekend of it, make a weekend of it. So Arthur Miller shows up. And again, for people who've never seen the Pillsbury Mansion, it is a very, very large house. It's very large, very stately. So Arthur Miller says, well, I'm going to go to bed now, so I'm going to go up to my room. And my friend said, okay, that's great. So all of a sudden, he gets a call from upstairs. Could I have a sandwich and a glass of milk? And my friend goes, yeah, absolutely. I'll make you a sandwich. What kind of sandwich you want? He goes, tells him, he brings up the sandwich. Next night, the same exact thing. Arthur Miller calls down and goes, could I have a sandwich again? That sandwich last night was really, really good, and I'd like the same thing. And so my friend brought him a sandwich again. And the next morning when he was leaving, Arthur Miller said, why isn't there anybody else staying at this hotel?
Oh, my God.
That's funny.
Is that a great story? He thought it was the only guest.
The Shining.
A couple towels.
Dr. Dyer, we have a 23-year-old daughter.
Here she is.
And
right
she just
here.
graduated from college in fashion merchandising and dance, and she's very talented.
And journalism.
And she's a very talented kid, did very, very well in school, our son as well. But our daughter is getting very, very frustrated. She's just 23, just got out of college. And what you're talking about, I think, is very important for her because it's really difficult for her to get a job. She can't get a job right now, even though many people are trying to help her.
60% of college graduates, it's hard for.
Yeah. So what would you tell someone like her who did so well in school and would do extremely well in the workplace, but she just can't seem to get a job? What's her next move?
Well, this is what we were talking about earlier.
Right.
It's not going to be any more about getting a job. It's really going to be about fulfilling your destiny or actualizing your highest potential or doing what thrills you or following your excitement or whatever. And the world is filled with opportunities to do that. I mean, there's an internet that connects you to everybody in the world that might want to be a customer of yours or whatever. And that so if for every job that's out there, if there's like 500 people in line and there's 500 resumes in there, why would you be the person who just adds one more resume to be that? I was quote E. Cummings. He said, to be nobody but yourself in a world which is doing its best night and day to make you just like everybody else means to fight the greatest battle there is to fight and never stop fighting. So I would say to your daughter, what is her name? Amy, is it?
Alexandra.
Alex.
I would say to her, what is your excitement? What is it that when you go within, and what is it when your soul speaks to you? Your soul is that part of you that is infinite, so it's always wanting to expand. As soon as you try to stop it, it becomes finite. It's no longer your soul. So what is your soul telling you? And then begin to see yourself and declare yourself as using the words "I am," which is the name of God. When Moses was being spoken to by in the Torah, and was saying, "What do you mean I'm supposed to go free my people? Who is this? Who are you? What is your name?" He said, "God said that supposedly my name is I am that I am." So the words "I am" are the words of God. That's your soul. That's the inner part of you. Every time you use those, so if you say "I am sad," "I am depressed," "I am frustrated," "I am unable to get a job," that's blasphemy. What you want to say is, "I am working, I am fulfilled, I am finding my own destiny," and constantly be using this inner kind of dialogue with yourself. And recognizing that whatever skills or talents or whatever it is that you have, there are other ways to actualize it other than by being an employee of somebody else. And I don't think you'll, and I've told Tracy this 1,000 times when she was really making her decision about starting up Urban Junket and, doing this whole thing, is that you can't be putting your attention on doing something for somebody else. You'll never be free as long as you're working for somebody else. There's just that element of they'll tell you what time to be in there, what you have to wear, what meetings you have to go to, what time you have to get up, what language you have to use, blah blah. They will be imposing upon you somebody out there will be imposing upon you their way of doing things. And if you want to be free, you have to be doing that within yourself. And I think that's the way it's going to be going. For one reason, people just don't want to hire people because it's just too expensive a proposition to do so. I've written 41 books. I've sold well over 150 million books in the last 35 or 40 years, and I don't have any employees. I have one person who has worked with me or for me for 35 years, and she's not even an employee. She's an independent contractor. I write her just 1 or 2 checks a year, and she does other things for other people as well. So it's like the world is shifting, and don't be somebody who's out there saying, I can't get a job. Say, what services or what do I have to offer the world? And I'm going to start doing that myself. And, and that's that whole quote I gave you from Thoreau. If you advance confidently in the direction of your dreams and endeavor to live the life which you have imagined, you will meet with a success unexpected in common hours. The success will chase you. You have to let it come after you. The big illusion is the idea that I'm going to be successful on the basis of how much money I make or how well my products do or whatever it is. But you have to redefine, what success means to you. Success means living your life and fulfilling your own dharma, your own inner knowing that this is what I'm here about. My excitement is who I am. It's not what I do.
Andy, our son's got that all figured out because in first grade he said he told his teacher he wanted to become an heir. That's what he wanted to do for a living.
There you go.
Tracy just gave me a look.
He's got Sand's perspective on life.
That's my son. I wrote an entire book on the Tao Te Ching, and I always say, that Lao Tzu often says that in the Tao does nothing. The great God does nothing, but it leaves nothing undone, because you can't go around and find out what's opening these flowers every day and what's making the rain come and what keeps the planets in alignment. It does nothing. And my son is a Taoist master. I say to him, come on, Sand, help out, let's go. And he says, I do nothing. And I leave nothing undone.
This is what, and he gets very zen about it. I do nothing.
Yes, right.
Nothing is left.
He's got a great T-shirt that says, don't just do something, stand there.
So, Alex, did that make sense to you? Do you feel that within you?
I'm a little... It's hard for me to be super inspired right now, but I feel like potentially.
I would almost take it down a level from what he said because that sounds like a really ethereal kind of concept.
It's a lot of pressure.
Go find your bliss and by the way, be able to make your rent.
Yeah.
But you have to start applying that to the daily tasks of your life. When you can't think of it as a big overarching. I've got to find my bliss and find what I'm perfect at, and it's Friday. You got to go out there and experiment and figure out. But it's a little bit about visualizing just the simple day-to-day things. I find it when I'm running my business, like. When you run a business, I run a manufacturing business, and I design handbags and laptop bags, and things go wrong, and it doesn't always go perfect. And I'm sometimes faced with a barrage of problems in the course of a day, and I'm like, all right, I have to start shifting this around, and I have to literally get up out of my desk, go outside with my dog, go take her for a walk around the lake, and say, I want to visualize this being perfect, or what's the perfect solution to this problem. And until I start doing that, I never see the momentum shift. And so, take it down to just the little things, like what do you ideally want to do? Visualize yourself doing it. It doesn't mean it's going to happen tomorrow, but start it with the little things. That makes sense.
That makes total sense.
Being open to it.
It does.
One thing you have to understand, Dr. Dyer referred to E.E. Cummings. He was a very successful writer, and he never found the caps key on his typewriter.
Yeah, really?
That's exactly it. I'm sorry, but it's just, like I said, my whole life started by trying to make people laugh so they wouldn't hurt me. You know what I mean? Yeah. But when you were talking about I am that I am, all I thought of was Popeye. I am what I am.
Right.
It's just the way my brain works.
I'm strong to the finish because I eat to finish.
Another musical treat.
Third song from Dr. Wayne Dyer.
The only blessing in this is that you don't have video on him, so he can't dance, too. So he can't see that.
I bet you dance a lot, don't you, Dr. Dyer?
But I want to go back to, is it Alex? Is that your name?
Alex, yes.
Alex, because you said something like, I am having trouble being inspired right now. What does that mean? Why would you have trouble being inspired?
Well, I mean, I worked in retail for 3 years
Right.
and had a managing position and went to college for fashion merchandising and volunteered a bunch and did everything I was supposed to do. And like last week, I got turned down for an assistant to the assistant manager position at a J. Crew.
But that was a blessing. That you should be thanking God.
Yeah,
for that.
I know.
Because
but
you want to be stuck in a J. Crew store?
No, I don't at all.
Yeah, if you're mocking it, you wouldn't want to be there.
Yeah,
I know, but it's just like, I don't even know if I would have taken that job, but the fact that I can't even get a job that...
But look at it this way. You chose really well, your parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
And, you know, at least you weren't like little Kaylee Anthony or something like that, who maybe didn't choose so well.
Yeah.
You chose well.
Oh, I know.
And so you have a lot of things, a lot of opportunities afforded to you, and something good will come.
Oh, I know.
It will.
I'm just hanging out.
Well, and I know what inspires you when you get a chance to actually do some of these shows and have input. And so there are some things where I think what Dr. Dyer's saying in a way is that you have to be open to the idea of what you could be at some point.
Yeah.
And that you are incredibly gifted in several different areas, but you're not going to feel those gifts and not feel that power in a J. Crew as an assistant assistant manager.
I know.
But you need to be open to the idea of what could happen to you in your future, the same way that your dad has with his life, or I have with my life. And, you know, Dr. Dyer, all that I've read about you and your history, and you started in an orphanage, right?
I did.
Yeah, I
spent 10 years there, the first 10 years of my life. Well, the first year and a half or so I was with my mom, and then my father walked out. And
Yes.
But that was just like everything that comes our way, Alex. Everything that comes our way is a gift. I mean, if you were able to get out, you're in a paradigm, and it's like you have to shift out of the paradigm, which is, in order for me to fulfill my destiny and who I am, I went to college. So you went to college, and you got good grades, and you studied, and then you did all of these kinds of things. And then things aren't falling in place the way the paradigm that you have, because there's a paradigm shift, and that paradigm shift has to begin within you with saying, I am perfectly capable of attracting anything that I want into my life, because being willing to say this is going to sound strange to you, and it's part of that paradigm shift. Being willing to say to yourself, I am God. That at the my very essence is who I am, is this internal, infinite being that's trapped in this physical body of mine. And because I am connected to the source that creates everything in this world. So I am a piece of God, and as a piece of God, I'm a co-creator of anything that I want to attract into my life. That's not just a lot of highfalutin words that are just, and then you go out and you stand on a corner begging for money for your rent. It's not like that at all. When you have this internal knowing that who you are is this divine being of love, and you're capable of putting into this physical world anything that you place your attention on. When you get that, when you really harbor that kind of an inner knowing, this is just something that Tracy will tell you, I'm passionate about this.
Yeah.
When you have to really watch your self-dialogue and your self-talks about, I can't do this, and poor me, and this isn't going to work out. And this is what and Tracy will tell you, we had endless conversations about this as things weren't working out in a certain way for her. It's just always have a knowing that everything's, it's going to fulfill that inner calling that you have. Anyway.
She's just staring at me like it's all my fault.
How do you follow up that?
This weird guy talking to me on the other end of the phone.
Oh, no.
No, not at all. It's tremendous advice.
Those are huge concepts, and especially in a society that doesn't. I'm guessing you're a little Buddhist there.
They are huge concepts, because we were taught from the time that we were little boys and little girls, we were really raised to be ordinary. And that means that, and when I say I am God, and this isn't a religious thing at all. I don't go to church. I'm not it's not a religious thing. I'm not identified with any organized religion at all. Mm-hmm. It's an internal knowing that your essence is spirit. we weren't raised from the time that we were little children to understand that within us is this divine intelligence that is capable of thinking and creating virtually anything we place our attention on. We weren't raised to think like that. We're raised to believe that our job is to fill out the forms and to go to the school and to get good grades and to be nice and to pay your bills and then to get a job and then to die. And you have a completely different shift on that, in which you recognize yourself as a piece of God, and therefore you have the co-creating capacity to do anything. Now you just have to dream big instead of dreaming ordinary. And in order to get to an extraordinary level of consciousness, what I'm speaking about, you have to recognize that what got you to where you are, which may be stuck in some ways, in some minimal kinds of ways, is your concept of yourself. And your concept of yourself is everything that you believe to be true. So it's like it requires to change what you've come to believe is true in order to get past ordinary to this extraordinary place where you put your attention on something and you start watching it show up, and you expect that it will, and you have very high anticipation that all these things are going to be, are going to manifest into your life. And that kind of a shift, when you are able to make that kind of an internal shift, what happens is, Carl Jung had a term called synchronicity. You begin to have a collaboration with fate, and the right people will show up, and the right circumstances will show up. And Tracy, very often when we get into conversations, she'll say, "You're not going to believe what happened." It's like you said this, and then this person called, and you were on the radio in Salt Lake City, and somebody called me, and now I got an order for this. And I say, it's all connected. All of it is connected, and everything works out because you expect it to work out, rather than you expect things to just go along and be ordinary.
I totally believe that.
For Brad, John Bryant, Michael Bryant. Michael, what's up?
Dealing with another case where a person gave a statement to the adjuster because they thought the person was really friendly.
Is that a good idea?
Well, the problem is they know the law when they call you up. And while you're trying to be fair and you're trying to get help, the reality is there are questions you get asked that the way you answer them make a big difference. And people put themselves in trouble. And when they aren't in trouble, they didn't do anything wrong, but suddenly the adjuster's got a statement that can blow up their case completely.
What has caused people to be so untrustworthy, I guess is the best way I could put it? They take advantage.
Well, insurance companies have hired adjusters whose job it is to deal with unrepresented people. So they're supposed to kind of lure them in, call them every day, see how they're doing, and people are like, I'm doing pretty good. Where the reality is they've kind of adjusted to their problem that they've got going on. So it's not that they're completely better, but the way they say it gets to be a problem. And that's why having somebody who can explain your rights, represent you, make sure that you understand the law before you give a statement can make a big difference in your case.
Michael Bryant, Bradshaw and Bryant. I'm talking with my friends Michael Bilski and Brad Huckle of North American Banking Company. Guys, business owners have had to deal with a lot over the last few years, haven't they?
They sure have, Tommy. We pride ourselves on being able to help our customers with the challenges they face.
Our business bankers are experts and are always ready to help our customers capitalize on opportunities and solve problems.
Loan decisions come quickly because they're made here in the Twin Cities and not shipped out of state like at some of the national banks in town.
This allows our customers to expand their businesses with confidence, knowing that they have our team of experts in their corner.
Okay, so now you give me this big thing at the end. Way to go.
Well, you are the professional.
Oh, I forgot. Look, I know Brad and Mike, and I trust them with my banking. They've personally delivered on everything they've just said, so why not bank with my banker? North American Banking Company, a better banking experience, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Which one of your books, I mean, I'm sure all of them are terrific. I've only read 3, I think. Excuses Be Gone is one of my favorites.
That's fantastic.
And I'm thinking he probably didn't sell a lot of those because people like their excuses.
No, I think he did sell a lot of those.
An excuse not to
about 15 million of those.
No, I was just kidding. It's an awesome book. And but which one of your books would you say would be the best starter book for this concept that you have, or that you're talking about right now?
Boy, it's just so. It's hard for me to answer that question. Probably The Power of Intention.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a more recent. Your Erroneous Zones is a basic self-help kind of approach to.
Let's talk about how many of those you sold.
Yeah, well, because it's dedicated to Tracy.
Oh, there you go.
He has no ego involved.
We have a little competition among all the kids.
All the kids,
And I'm like, look, I'm still winning.
Well, I think you'll win that one forever. That one was just a blockbuster, man. You know, that one. It's like they used to say,
Power of Intention.
Tracy will tell you about when we went out to see Michael Jackson years ago, when the whole family went out. But he had this incredible album called Thriller, which I think sold something like 30 million copies or some outrageous number of. And then he does, every album he does after that, sells like 15 or 18 million, which is more than anybody else has sold anyway.
Right.
And they want to know, how do you feel about, not having a successful second album or third album and so on. So.
Well, when you said The Power of Attention was a blockbuster, but the one that only sold 15 million copies, that was not a blockbuster.
The Power of Intention seemed to take off. I've done a PBS special on each one of these more recent books.
Right.
Spiritual Solution to Every Problem and The Power of Intention, Excuses, and Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life, which is, it took some call it the wisest book ever written 2,500 years ago, the Tao Te Ching. And I lived each one of the 81 verses and wrote an essay about each one of those. That thing has just been a huge blockbuster. So
that's a wonderful book, the Tao Te Ching.
Yeah, I love it.
It's an amazing book.
Really touched me in a very, very big way.
Me as well.
Lao Tzu came into my life and really turned it around.
I'm going to make a deal with Tracy later on today that since my father died about 34 years ago, I'm going to make a deal with Tracy, so you'll just play the part of Alex's grandfather. I think you'd be very good for her.
You've only got 6 daughters. You've got 2 granddaughters. You need another one.
You need more. But you know what was fun for me listening to you talk to Alex is you're 2 generations apart, almost 50 years apart, and the conversation sounded like either 2 72-year-olds or 2 23-year-olds talking to each other. It's a wonderful conversation.
Because there's only one generation. I don't really believe in generational shifts and so on. T.S. Eliot, the great American poet, said, we shall not cease from exploration, but at the end of all of our exploring will be to return to the place from which we originated and to know it for the first time. And I always say that he was speaking about dying, about the death of the body, and I'm not. I think that all of us all of us come from the same place. All of us return to the same place. I just returned from traveling to several Muslim countries over in the Middle East, in Turkey especially, and Ephesus and Istanbul and so on. And I was preparing to give a lecture there at the last home where the Blessed Mother, where the Mother of Jesus, Mary, lived in Ephesus. And outside of the room there were of this home, there was about 400 of us that were on this cruise, and all the people that were visiting this place, and they all stopped. And I spoke about this great spiritual master named Jalaluddin Rumi, who lived in the 13th century. This great poet. And more than poet. I mean, he was God on earth in many ways. And I learned an awful lot about the Muslim faith, and we have some real horrific notions, floating around in the world about how awful the Muslims are. But it's like taking an entire spiritual practice and like Christianity and assessing its value on the basis of how the KKK treated it. These crazy people. And the same thing is true with sort of the Taliban and so on, who've taken this beautiful religion of pure love and kindness toward everyone, and no separation. And twisted it into, a philosophy of murder and killing and so on. I have great respect for the Muslim faith, much more so now after giving that lecture and spending so much time over there. So I just see all of us. I see every single one of us as connected. I don't see there's any generations. I feel just as connected as I sat there on the steps of the Parthenon. I was just imagining Socrates and Plato and Aristotle and Alexander the Great and Diogenes and Demosthenes and all of these people that I've studied and written about and felt as a part of my life. Felt them there. And in a sense, you know what? In a sense, there is no such thing as time. And that's one of the things I'm really discovering at this time in my life, that time itself is another one of those illusions that you can get past it. When I got on that plane in Rome to fly to Maui, that's halfway around the world, I already saw myself here, comfortably in my bed, going through my mail and all of that, the minute that I stepped on the plane. And I'm telling you, that 23 hours of flying seemed like 45 minutes. It just, it was an amazing experience of shifting into a new consciousness in which time isn't anything that restricts us at all. And we all do this, by the way, every night when we go off to sleep. And our bodies just lay there dead, and off we go, into these crazy, wonderful, purely blissful worlds where we can have somebody that was dead 50 years ago, be alive. We can fly if we want to. We can be 7 years old. We can have our children start all over again if we want to. I mean, that's Thoreau called it being a waking dreamer. It's just something I'm experimenting with more and more these days.
Is that the same as lucid dreaming?
Yeah.
Yeah, lucid dreaming.
Yeah.
Some interesting books about lucid dreaming, as a matter of fact.
Yes.
Yeah, speaking of time, we've taken up your entire day. It looks like I could only do this for about another 9 or 10 hours, but you probably want to get a little rest after a 23-hour flight.
No, I'm going for a walk as soon as we hang up. But I just want to say to Tracy, I mean, how incredibly proud I am of you, sweetheart, for taking that risk. And finally, I remember when you called, and I kept saying, don't be afraid, just let it go. And you started out, and the business that you started with was high-end bags, and then we had this economic decline, and you made the shift immediately into I'm going to go green. I'm going to start making bags out of plastic water bottles, and do something for the planet. And whenever I have you, demonstrate your bags and bring them at any of my talks, I mean, you sell hundreds and hundreds of them, and it's because you were constantly adjusting yourself, and now you've got one of the more successful businesses certainly in the Twin Cities areas, and it's exciting to hear you talk about moving from having a few hundred bags to doing $1 million in sales. It's amazing.
It's exciting for me too. Yeah.
Great.
It's a remarkable American business story. And Tracy's offered to do something else. We support the Smile Network, and Dr. Dyer, I don't know if you know much about the Smile Network, but they actually go around the world in poverty-stricken countries and actually help repair children with cleft palates.
Right.
And do remarkable work. Well, Tracy's actually offered to put a promo code on her site, so if you buy a bag from Urban Junket in the next week, you're going to take a portion of those profits and donate them to the Smile Network.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
Which is wonderful.
Very
That is
nice.
wonderful. I can read this.
She's got a heart as big as the sky.
She does indeed. That's why.
Well,
She came to the hospital, Dr. Dyer, after my first child was born, and it was so great to see her there and help celebrate the birth of my firstborn kid. And we've just had a remarkable friendship and love for each other since then. She's just been a terrific friend. So, Thank you for being such a great father to her.
Well, I don't know about that. I honestly don't. I don't take any credit for it whatsoever. I have 8 children, and I just love. All I do is love them. And I always tell them I'm doing the best I can. I'm still out here working full time, but I just know that my heart is with you, and I love you very, very much. So whatever choices that you make.
Don't nod. He was talking to me.
I mean, he was talking to his new granddaughter.
Daughter Alex.
Love you too, Grandpa.
If I could just ask one more question, because I know you want to get going here. You've been very generous with your time, and we really are honored by that. You were talking about how we're all connected now. Things in the past 5 days, I was driving along 394 one day. And a person I have not seen in at least 5-6 years just popped into my mind. I said, I wonder how Tim Callander is doing. I haven't talked to him in so long. I got to get a hold of Tim because I haven't talked to him in 5 years. I got home that afternoon and my agent called and said, Tim Callander called. He wants you to do a couple of commercials for him. Read a couple commercials. I said, you're kidding me. I said, you're kidding me. She goes, I was just thinking about him like a couple of hours ago. And I told him that story. We're also, in a week and a half, I'm going to moderate a debate on the people against gay marriage and people that support gay marriage.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big thing going on in Minnesota about that, Dad.
Right.
That's going on the next, going to be on the ballot for the next election.
So there was a big story in the news. Minnesota Viking punter Chris Kluwe is against the amendment which would ban gay marriage, and he wants to argue that point. And so I'm looking for someone to do who supports the amendment to ban gay marriage, right? And so I called Norm Coleman because they'd lost a couple of children. He's a big, strong believer in. My personal position is I don't care who marries whom. I couldn't care less if it makes you happy and you love someone. Good for you. But I need to find someone for Chris to debate. And Norm Coleman called me. And I said, I was literally going to pick up the phone and call you in about 5 minutes. What is that?
Yes, that's read Carl Jung. He called it synchronicity, but it's that awareness. It's that thing I was talking to Alex about. That inside of us is something that is infinite, which means it doesn't begin any place, it doesn't stop any place. Because your soul, if it stopped at some place, it would be. We'd have to call it finite, but it's not finite, it's infinite, so it's always expanding. And you are connected. Every thought that you have connects to every thought that everyone else has ever had as well. This is really what God is. This is what the Tao is. This is what divine mind is. And when you are connecting to it and putting your attention on it, then you are literally making an infinite connection with every single thing that you place your thoughts on. But you have to. It's like they say when the student is ready, the teachers will appear. It's like when you have this readiness within you and a knowing that if I place my thoughts on something, it's going to show up, and then you detach from the outcome. You just let go of it, which is what you were doing. You weren't saying, okay, I'm going to get a hold of this Tom Callander guy, and I'm going to make him call me, and I'm going to, and your ego involved in it. What you did was you just put your thoughts on it, and then you let go. And when you say, it's like what I say in the recovery movement, when you let go, you let God. You allow this divine intelligence, the same intelligence that brought Tom Callander to you and had Norm pick up the phone and call you, is the same intelligence that's beating your heart. And it's digesting your food, and it's keeping the planets in alignment, and it's opening the flowers every day, and it's growing the grass. And that intelligence is what we are. And there's no place that it is separate. It is an infinite intelligence. And basically that's who you are. You're not this body or any of its possessions or any of its accomplishments or any of its reputations. Who you are is this divine essence. And it's connected to everything and everyone in the universe.
I actually keep a synchronicity journal because it happens so often, and the thought is that it's basically the universe affirming to you that you're on the correct path.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, I'm glad I'm not in my regular body because I could stand to lose some weight. But in any case.
Well, you haven't failed. You've just produced massive results.
I love you.
Hey, now.
Dr. Wayne Dyer, unbelievable conversation. As I said, we could only go on about another 9, 10, 12 hours, something like that. But thank you very much for all of your time. Fascinating conversation. And, every time my first interview with you was in 1986 at KQRS, and I did, we must have done 10, 12, something like that. And every time I talked to you, I learned something. I talked to a man, his nickname was the Senator. He was not a senator, but his nickname was the Senator. He was a very, very bright guy, and he was about 84, 85 at the time, and he found out he was going to die. So he and I would sit and talk philosophy, and we had a wonderful time, and it made us feel so good, and we laughed, all the rest of it. So he told me at this meeting that, Tom, I found out that I have cancer, and I only have a couple of weeks to live, literally 2 weeks to live. And I said, so, Senator, what are you going to do in your final 2 weeks? And he said, I'm going to learn everything I possibly can. It was one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard in my entire life. Yeah. It was amazing. What an amazing moment. And I really miss him. Dr. Dyer, please come back like tomorrow.
You're available tomorrow morning, right, Dad? 6 a.m.?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I enjoyed it very much. My pleasure. Bye, sweetheart.
Bye, Dad.
Bye, honey.
Again, he was talking to me.
Yeah, sorry.